Hi, I'm Krista Arthur, and welcome to the Consilien Report. If you're thinking about having your employees or some of your employees work from home and remote in, if you're thinking about how to create a more collaborative environment for your sales team, for your marketing team, or just collaboration throughout your organization overall, then you're going to love today's discussion about Microsoft Teams. I'm interviewing Michelle Hollis, who's the president of Sixth Street Consulting. Sixth Street Consulting are SharePoint and Microsoft Teams experts. And in today's interview, Michelle gives us a high-level overview of Microsoft Teams. She gives us some best practices, which you really want to pay attention to. I know it's tempting to start setting up teams on your own, but watch the best practices because there's definitely some things that you don't want to do. And then at the end, she takes us through a quick demonstration on how she uses Microsoft Teams. So I know you're going to love
Michelle.
it.
Hi, Krista. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I am super excited about today's interview. One, because I love Teams. We use it here at Consilien. Two, because you guys, you at Sixth Street Consulting, you are the Teams experts. So that's really exciting. And three, because of everything that's going on with the coronavirus, a lot of our clients and customers are asking about working at home. And so I thought, what better way to facilitate that than to have a discussion about Teams? And what better way than with you, Michelle Hollis from Sixth Street Consulting. Welcome.
Thanks, Krista.
Yay.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about Sixth Street Consulting.
Well, we've been around since 2002 and started out really in management consulting and looked towards businesses and the business processes that they needed help with. And we found that SharePoint initially was a great platform to help people make more effective business processes and save time and money. And we started building great collaborative platforms on SharePoint and had a deep development bench for that. So we've done that for large and small industries, predominantly in aerospace and healthcare, so very secure environments as well. Mm-hmm. And then when Teams started rolling around, since Teams sits on SharePoint, it was just the perfect opportunity for us to continue that development and work with teams and help companies collaborate better.
Well, that's exciting. Well, again, I'm so glad that you're here. And just so everyone knows that you and I networked together at IAMCP, which was the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners, right? That's the full title. And I love your tagline, "We rock SharePoint and Teams." That's it. When you introduce yourself, we rock it. That's really all you need to know.
Well, then everybody remembers SharePoint and Teams.
There you go.
And Sixth Street Consulting.
So one of the things that you did a while ago was you gave a presentation on Teams. I think it was last year, and you talked about the ROI associated with Teams. Can you talk a little bit more about that? That there's actual ROI when you are using it efficiently?
Absolutely. And there's a Forrester study on that we can share the link with after this.
Great.
But larger corporations that have done it from, 500 users plus, they have seen an incredible amount of ROI because of the reduction in email and the increase in quick posts and quick conversations that last forever within teams. And it allows teams to collaborate, teams within a company to collaborate without having to send attachments and emails and really keep the intercommunication much more crisp and concise.
Yeah, that's why we like it. I mean, it really eliminates that email trail when you're communicating with your team members, that you can do it right there in Teams. And like you said, everything is kept forever in Teams. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, you can keep all the chats and posts, so you have a history going, and it can be archived for later, but you can watch and see what people have said over time and revert back to that, and with at mentions and things like that, bring conversations current from within posts. So we have various, I guess one of the best examples for that would be a way that we're working with a medical group, and they have a situation where their patient service center might need to get in touch with an office. So they have 4 or 5 folks designated within that medical office, and they just do a quick alert to that team, and then that team can respond immediately so that the patient can get information quickly from the patient support center. So it's real-time, fast communication, where it used to have to be maybe they called 4 or 5 people within the office to try to find the one person.
So just so I'm clear, so they can set up a team for their client to facilitate better communication.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I like that. And then within the organization, I know we talked to one of our clients about using it for their sales team as well. Yeah, so they can communicate via Teams, and they can, since you're the expert, I'm like, oh, you can put your files there, your customer files. I mean, there's a lot you can do on the sales side with Teams as well.
Well, and especially with private channels.
Yeah.
You've got the ability to keep the internal communications internal, but still share out the other communications in another channel with your client. So whether or not you're in pre-sales or project mode, you're able to, like I even have plans when we're doing migrations and rolling things out, I will assign tasks to guests within that team that are on our client side. So they get the email reminders, they get notified when a task has been updated, and they can go into the actual plan and planner to see it.
Love it. So what about a customer that, like now with the coronavirus as an example, where maybe they want their finance department to start working at home, or they're going to have different departments. You could set up a team so then nobody else can see it, and then it can be. So can you talk a little bit more about how that might look from an high-level organizational standpoint?
Absolutely. And from the fact that Teams sits on SharePoint and virtually is a wrapper of SharePoint, you've got the granularity of security so that files can be, excuse me, files can be secured within a department team, as well as they can be password protected. So if there's only 2 members of that team that are supposed to be able to see that file, say the executive, the CFO, and the president need to see it, but the rest of the finance team still needs to work on other pieces of it, they're able to set parameters within Teams so that it's secure within the finance department.
Right.
And then they can also, sync with OneDrive and share it securely just between the top executives.
I think that's going to lead us into our next portion on what are some best practices, because I know that so many organizations are using Office 365, and so they see the little Teams icon on there and they're going to be tempted to start creating teams. Can we talk a little bit now about what are some best practices with Teams? Because you don't want to do that. Hint, hint.
Right. You don't want to do that. One of the things that we do is we limit who can create a team. So it's recommended that you either go to your managed services provider and have them set up the governance for Teams, or you make sure that your internal IT department always has 2 owners on the Teams, and you can set it up from the Teams tenant as well and create policies as if you want to moderate conversations, if you're worried about somebody possibly saying something they shouldn't, or something like that. But every time you create a team, it does create a SharePoint site collection and a certain set of files. Now, one of the new features of Teams is now you can bring a legacy SharePoint page as a home page into a team. So that's kind of cool. That's something new. But you want to make sure you don't get sprawl and silos, and that you're thinking about how you're creating your teams so that they're actually going to be used, and then monitoring the analytics of it to make sure that if there are dormant teams, that you set policies in place that will have you shut teams off or archive teams if they haven't been used in a certain period of time. So then you're not just sprawling your information, you're keeping that one authoritative source.
I didn't realize that there were analytics in Teams that we could pull.
Oh, there's very cool analytics.
Oh, maybe our operations. So our COO is the person we go to set up the team. So we have a policy. We can't set them up on our own. We go to him, and we have a process for that. So maybe he knows about all the analytics. But it being in marketing, I love analytics, so I have to ask him about that, what that looks like. Cool.
Yes.
What are some other best practices?
Being careful how you name your teams. Because if somebody that's creating a team, if you're in a larger organization, well, actually, probably, anything 25 users or higher, you're going to have a human resources department. You're going to have a finance department. You're going to have a sales department.
Right.
And if you have an intranet, or you're thinking of creating an intranet in SharePoint Online, and you create a team called human resources, then that pulls that name, and you can no longer use that in the SharePoint side. So you need to think about how you're creating the teams. One of the things that we've done in organizations where teams creations is a little more wide open is we reserve all those sites on the SharePoint side so that you can still have the hub site and the department sites for your intranet.
Okay.
But then your teams, and then we'll tell people or guide people to possibly put team behind it. So HR team, billing team, things like that. So then there's a clear distinction when you're looking on the back end in SharePoint, and you're looking at possibly cleaning up some teams that shouldn't have been created. Then you have a clear distinction in what's your corporate intranet versus what your teams are. And I think one of the other things to be very careful of is watch what you name your teams, because it also creates a security group.
Right. Oh, okay.
So if you create a team called We're Idiots, then you're going to have a security group that says we're idiots. So I was trying to think of an absurd name, and that was the best one I could think of. But you have to watch your naming conventions, just like you would with any other technology you roll out.
Okay, great. And so does Sixth Street Consulting, do you guys have a like a discovery package or anything like that, where if someone wants to get in contact with you and talk about setting up teams, do you have anything that you're offering like that right now?
Absolutely. We have our overall accelerator, and that includes SharePoint and Teams. But if you just want a little tidbit and a bit of guidance, talk to a smart person, have us help you set it up a little bit. Yeah, you can go to 6sc.com/teams.
Right.
Get more information.
6sc.com/teams. That will be in a link underneath the video. And we're doing our video on Teams, by the way. So in the past, I've done it in Zoom, but we're utilizing more of Teams features, which is great. Oh, terrific. One of the things that when we've been talking to our customers about working at home is using on the security side, if they're going to be provisioning their own computers for company computers for their employees, or if they're expecting their employees to use their own computers. If they want their employees to use their own computers in the interim, they will need consent from their employees. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there for the people who are watching, the millions and millions of people that are watching us right now, that they will need consent from their employees if they're going to have them use their own personal computers while at home. So that's a consideration.
You want to see a quick demo?
I do.
Of something I've done around Planner?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I'm excited that you prepared a demo.
Well, this is kind of twofold. Because, the IMCP SoCal Golf Tournament's coming up, and I happen to be the chairperson for the golf tournament. But Sixth Street Consulting is also a perennial sponsor. So one of the things that we've done is create a plan around the golf tournament. And this is just a quick and easy way to show how rapidly Planner can be deployed. So we got what we needed for the event. We looked at the people that we invited last year, checked last year's attendees. So a lot of this has already been done, sent out invites, looked at new prospects and things like that. And then every year we do a post-event and lessons learned. So did a detailed review of what was done there. So our planning and logistics, you can see that's pretty much done since the tournament is April 17th. And then,
and we will be there.
And Consilien will be there.
Be there.
Indeed. So you can look at, I'm clicking around to the wrong places. So you can look at various things within Planner that, okay.
I love that.
You can see we have 7 tasks left.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the other things I love is that it also shows, once you're in the various tasks, there's planning and logistics, then our marketing. It shows me at a quick glance what
Mhm.
requires budget. So
Oh,
when I'm looking
that's
with our
excellent.
marketing folks, and then it assigns dates to each of the tasks. And then, when the fun stuff, we always do whiskey and cigars at our hall.
Yes.
So,
And they're pretty good cigars, I have to say. We like cigars.
and then we also have the post event. So we do the debrief, and then we always take pictures. So I also have an action item on the 21st of April,
Mhm.
which will be shortly after the tournament, to send out all of our pictures and thank yous.
That is awesome. We are not
Yeah.
using Planner, and we will be using it now. I have to talk to Jim, maybe so we can look at that a little bit more deeply. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about this too, I have to watch it because I do have some client stuff in here, so I don't want to go too deep into.
Mhm.
But one of the other things that we've got is, once you create an existing, once you have a plan,
Mm-hmm.
you can add planner again,
Mm-hmm.
and you can pull it from an existing plan,
Mm-hmm.
and you can go into any of your existing plans and say, okay, I'm going to do this, and it automatically creates a brand new plan for you. So year after year, if these are repetitive events and things that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you the same tasks, and you just change the dates. So
That is fantastic. That is really, this is why I love Teams. I'm always learning more about it. So that's terrific.
Yeah, and you can just, you can see it, you can group it by buckets, which I don't think I've done, but you can show like who's, assigned to what, and
Mm-hmm.
you can do by priority, etc.
Yeah.
So pull that over, so that's all seen. We delved into Office Graph and are actually using that with Planner and Teams to be able to show resource utilization.
Wow.
Microsoft Workplace Analytics is only available to clients that are 1,000 users and above. So
Okay.
we thought a good way of helping smaller clients under 1,000 users to be
Mhm.
able to get some view of how successful or how profitable projects are, or how much they're spending in the pre-sale cycle. Maybe they are spending too much, and this is a good way to look at it. So we've got some hooks into Office Graph along with Planner to show the most successful deals versus the least successful deals, and how much time and energy and budget is spent towards each.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. So it's a lightweight version of managing, resources.
No, I mean, see, I'm sold. We're going to be using this. We're going to have to talk more after the interview.
And I think the other thing too is when you're collaborating with guests outside, I'm going to go back to the golf tournament. I've got 10 guest users on our account, and they can get to the files. Let me show that, because that's probably another good one to share that I can.
Yeah. For you to communicate with your key accounts if you're thinking about how you would use it for yourself, for those of us that are watching this.
So I can show this from, we've got all types of different comments, and when people come on board and they've joined the team and whatnot, but the files, we've got the golf sponsorship packet, which is updated every few days as we get new sponsors. We have the email list and part of our social files that everybody can get to. And as you can see, you wouldn't know this off the top of your head, but Manish Bansal and Sharice Baldwin are both outside our organization, where Christine is within the organization. And you really can't tell because we're all collaborating.
Right.
And they've all been given access, and then we've got, just no meeting notes, but
but if there were meeting notes, that's where they'd be. Got it.
Exactly. And then, our goal, we're going after sponsors and golfers now and things like that. So yeah, it's just everybody can keep up to date and know what's going on.
Fantastic. Well, this was great.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Light version.
Great. Yeah, no, that was the high level overview. So people need to they just need to get in contact with you if they want to learn more about Teams. Yeah.
Well, and one of the other things too is there's direct migration tools from Slack, and Teams is so much more secure.
Yeah.
And if you are in a secure environment, you can turn on DLP and other things at the tenant level to make sure that if somebody starts to talk about something confidential that they're not supposed to,
Right.
that it automatically gets censored.
You said DLP?
So, yes, data loss prevention, data leak prevention.
Data
So
leak.
you can.
We get into our acronyms in the IT world.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So, but that's one of the really cool things. So that if you've got HIPAA compliance or security, things like that, you can automatically put terms in there that if you see somebody start posting like that, you can stop it and it gets pulled. And on the post, it just says this has been. So redacted. It's the way of the future.
Yeah,
we need to be able to be anywhere, and isn't that what modern workplace is for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for showing us the Teams environment. I know there's a lot more to it, so everyone should go to 6sc.com/Teams for more information. Yeah. And then come to the golf tournament. Sign up as a sponsor.
Come to the golf tournament. April 17th, IAMCPgolf.com.
IAMCPgolf.com. I'll also put that in the comments. So great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Krista.
Bye.